Well, hello. Let's see. AP Euro. Yay. Okay, y'all, I'm not trying to demean you because I am fully aware that the majority of you are juniors and seniors. I know, I had you last year, but I do have to start at the beginning. So, the continents. I know. You're like, "Oh my gosh, miss, we know." Sorry. Um, you have to know these guys. I assume you do after having me and Miss Clark last year, but if not, quick review. Quick review. Number one, say it. Say it. Don't make me say it. You say it. Say it. Say it. North America. Number four, South America. Number two, Europe, which is predominantly where we're going to be this summer. This summer. Oh my gosh. Year. This year. Number five, Africa. Number three, Asia. Number six, Australia. Okay, even though we will predominantly be in Europe, we will also be kind of all over the place because, as you should know from last year, Europeans are going to be in America. Europeans are going to be in South America. Europeans are going to have dealings with Africa, especially Mali. Remember Mansa Musa? Europeans are going to have dealings in Asia. Absolutely. And then Europeans, of course, are going to have dealings in the Pacific, Australia area. So we will be in this whole like world, but again, predominantly Europe. Okay. Now, this is what Europe looks like. Let me move this little thingy over here. Okay. This is what Europe looks like. Yeah. Up here, you have the Scandinavian countries. That does include Denmark too. Okay. But you have the Scandinavian countries. When I talked about the Norsemen last year, that's predominantly what we're looking at here. Not Finland. They're totally different people, but that's okay. So, anyway, oh my gosh, I'm having issues with the microphone. Okay, so then here you have the British Isles, predominantly Ireland, Scotland, England. Okay. Then in this area here, right here, you have Western Europe. Sometimes Western Europe includes Spain and Italy, and sometimes it doesn't. According to AP Euro, it doesn't. Western Europe is all of this little area. And then Spain, Italy, and Greece are a separate little region, which they are. But again, sometimes you'll see it kind of all lumped together. And the dividing line basically right here between west and east. You have east, which is all the blue. And then you have west, which is all of this over here. And usually including Greece. I know Greece is like definitely geographically in the east part of Europe, but especially historically, culturally, they mesh a lot more with West. So, anyway, it just kind of depends. Sometimes, again, people will refer to Spain, Italy, oh, yeah, don't forget Portugal, and Greece as Southern, as you see on this map. And sometimes, again, the dividing line is just kind of right here. And everything to the west is Western Europe, and everything to the east except Greece. Okay. Not up here. They'll always be a separate thing. And guys, look at Russia and Turkey. Russia and Turkey are both technically in Europe. I know, like, people don't usually, I don't know, associate that. But especially the western side of Russia, it's very culturally European. Now, down here, of course, this is culturally, more Middle Eastern, but that's not even true, really. We have a whole lot of European here as well, especially cities and stuff. So, anyway, just be aware Russia and Turkey are technically in Europe. Okie dokie. All right. Okay, so we're just jumping right in. Sort of. Really, the first thing that we do in here is we talk Greece. Okay. like ancient Greece. However, it doesn't make any sense to just suddenly be like, poof, there are all of a sudden all of these civilizations in Europe without really going all the way back. Okay. So what you're looking at here is, let me move my big old head down, is Ice Age. Okay. If you notice here, you have glaciers all the way down. You guys, look at this. All the way down. So you can get your bearings from like world history last year. This right here is like the middle of Germany. Right here. This line right here. Okay. Y'all, those glaciers go far south. Anyway, so this right here is our Ice Age time period. Okay. We do have people here, of course. And you'll understand too, just because all of this is glacier stuff, that doesn't mean this down here, sorry, that doesn't mean this down here is like fertile land. It is totally not at all. Okay. It's cold. I'm sure there's some fertile land down here, but it's cold. All right. So, anyway, you have Europeans living in here. Okay. I say Europeans, like, I mean, they are Europeans, but mostly they're what we call Neanderthal. It's not Neanderthal. Ugh, it's a German word. Neanderthal. But you call them the Neanderthal. Anyway, think about the Ice Age cartoons, with like Sid and the sloth and all that good stuff. The heads are going to be like very big. Um, they're typically much shorter than Neanderthal are, but they're like bigger and bulkier and musclier so that they could actually live in this weather. So anyway, you have for the most part that kind of person. And then as the Ice Age starts to go away, there we go. We have, as things start to melt, we have people moving north. Okay. Sorry. So they're moving north up here. In ancient world history, which you didn't learn last year because it's not what the class is, you have these first civilizations here, way down here in the south. You have, of course, Egypt. You've all heard of that. You have Mesopotamia, the ancient civilization of Sumeria. So Mesopotamia here. And then you have India, the Indus River Valley. And then, of course, way over here is China. Okay. Why is my thing moving? I think I'm hitting it with my hand. Sorry. Anyway, these are what we consider like real true civilizations. Like they have all the characteristics of a civilization. They have like a city, a place to trade. They have artisans, workers. They have institutions like government and religion. Okay. They have art. They have record keeping. So they have all of these like technology. I left that out. They have all of these characteristics of civilizations. But then as you get up here, they're still a little bit more nomadic. Even though they're starting to settle, it's not what we consider a full civilization. Why? Because they don't have all the characteristics of a civilization. Okay. You need to be fairly, well, it gets too complicated. We don't have time. But these people here, they're still migrating around. They're still moving around. And if you notice here, like, let me zoom in a little bit. We don't even refer to them as like people groups. Look, we refer to them as what they use, like what kind of stuff we found, the certain types of pottery, the funnel breakers, the linear pottery. Over here, the Pitcomb ware. We refer to it by like the artifacts that we find because we don't really, like, we know a lot considering what we have, but we don't know a lot, if that makes any sense at all. So just understand people are here, but they're just kind of semi-nomadic, roaming. They're starting to maybe start farming at this point. Of course, it's 10,000 BC is like the date for farming. So they're starting to farm and stuff. They're starting to settle down. They're starting to create what we consider to be like a true civilization with all of those characteristics. Again, like a place to trade, a city, artisans, people who work like making things with their hands, institutions like government and religion and stuff like that, technology. I'm trying to think of early technological advances. I haven't taught ancient history in so long. The early plows, of course, you're like the wheel. Okay, the wheel was already in use. But technological things, sun-dried mud like brick. Okay, and then of course record keeping, some form of writing. A lot of these people groups here had all of the characteristics except one: writing. Maybe they had writing and we just haven't found it yet. I mean, that's absolutely possible, right? But at this point in time, we consider these people down here full civilizations because they have all the characteristics. These people up here just kind of hanging out and turning into civilizations. And then we go here. As we get a little bit later in history, you start to notice a little bit. You're seeing people referred to now by their technology, which I guess is the same as it was here, what they made, their pottery, but specifically by their technology. And you see bronze here as well as here. I talked about bronze in world, did I? I bet we didn't, because bronze is ancient history, not modern. Bronze is a mix of tin and copper. As people are figuring out how to take tin and copper and melt them down and then like mix them together, it forms like a stronger metal, right? Bronze. People are using them for weapons. People are using them for defense stuff like shields and armor. People are using them for tools. People are using them for, little pretty, I don't know, knickknacks. My mom calls it shelf crap, but little pretty knickknacks or whatever. So you start noticing bronze. Guys, look at this group right here. That is the first group that you're really seeing called like by a specific people group, not technology, not how they're farming, but a people group. The Greeks. Okay. That leads us to Greece. All right, y'all. We actually have 3 different groups here that are gonna meld together to make the Greeks. And I guess really 4 if you include Macedonia. Some people would, some people wouldn't. But the Greeks, okay? So look at our dates. What? Okay. In world, we didn't have BC time. Because I didn't do ancient, remember? We started in 1200. Look, if you remember from last year, C dot means around. Means we don't have an exact time period. That's just, not an exact time period. We don't have an exact date. We just have kind of an around about date, okay? Around 3000 BC. What? Okay, so first of all, what is BC? Well, you will also see it BCE, okay? BC stands for before Christ. BCE stands for before the common era. Guys, BC is centered on a religion, Christianity, before Christ, Jesus Christ, okay? A huge chunk of the world isn't Christian. There are other religions. And so a huge chunk of the world uses BCE instead of BC. So BCE stands for before the Common Era. BCE, before the Common Era. Choose whichever one you want. In most, I don't know, like educated, scholarly areas, you're going to see people using BCE. Okay? So just be aware of that. But BCE, okay, what that means is what you're looking at is 3,000 years before the year one. That's 5,000 years ago. My brain doesn't do numbers. So you can say 5,000 years, and I'm like, okay, whatever. But whenever you put it in, like, I don't know, ways that I can understand it, if a human lives 100 years, just on average, just go with it. 100 years, 5,000 years ago, how many generations of humans ago is that? Okay, when you start to think about that, that is pretty darn old. We are getting back there, okay? Now, I want you to look at the dates that it says Greece ends right here. The reason there's like two different, I don't know, ideas about dates, and this will happen with Rome whenever we get there too, is because of this issue. Look down here. Let me move this thing up. All these things. There we go. Here, I'll just stick my head right here for right now because I'm going to come back to this, so don't freak out. But what you're looking at if you're taking notes, divisions of ancient Greek history. Okay, we do divide up Greek history because if you're looking at like 3000 BC, that's a lot of time. So again, there's a lot of different things happening in all that time period. So look down here, okay? Some people put the end of Greece. Like if you look back at this one right here, okay? Some people put the end of Greece at 146 BC. Because look what happened in 146 BC. Rome. Oopsie. Yeah. Rome invades. Rome takes over Greece. Is that the end of Greece? No. No, not at all. Even 31 BC is still not the end of Greece. And I know you're like, whoa, wait a minute. There's an overlap. There is an overlap. Look, Hellenistic Greece, 323 BC to 31 BC. Wait, what? It's okay. It's okay. Just calm down. It's okay. But some people, okay, I just got a text from Miss Clark. I'm sure she says hi. Anyway, so right here, some people say this is the end. But again, understand Greece doesn't just end all of a sudden. Okay. Greece still exists today. Now, ancient culture, no, but it doesn't just end. So we'll look at the dates more in a minute, okay? But look at this. Look at the, I don't know, land. Everything here that you're seeing in this like orangey color is what's considered ancient Greece. Okay. We're actually going to talk about three different like groups. Okay. If you look here again, sorry, she just texted again. If you look here again, you have a group of people called the Minoans, right above my head, the Minoans. Okay. The Minoans are going to be right here on this island, the island of Crete. You're going to have to know that island. The Minoans, Crete. Then you have another group right below my big old head. This is a weird word. Don't freak out. You'll hear it said two different ways also. You'll hear some people say Mycenaean, and you'll hear some people say Mycenaean. I learned Mycenaean, but a lot of people say Mycenaean. It doesn't matter. It's the same group of people, okay? They Predominantly, okay, understand there's overlap, you guys. Predominantly, they're going to be here on this little area, the hand of Greece. You see, it looks like an upside down hand. I think it looks like an upside down claw, but whatever. Predominantly, they're going to be here. Okay, you even see a city. Whoa! You even see a city right here. Mycenaeans. Okay. Then, if you look right here at the Dorians, right below my big old head, the Dorians. The Dorian Greeks predominantly, again, there's definite overlap, okay? But they're going to be a little bit more up here on like what's like the mainland of Greece, up here. Not the hand, the mainland. Again, all of these groups are going to mix. Just like we mix. Okay, we're, I don't know, Texans, but we're Americans. These are different types. Okay, so you have the Minoans down here on the island of Crete, which will mix in with the Mycenaeans here. And then you have the Dorians here. Okay, look at the land of Greece. What do you notice? And I'm not telling you. So you look at it and you notice. What do they need to be really good at in order to get from Athens right here to here? Or to here, or to here, or here, or here? What do they need to be good at? Also, if you look close right here, mountains. Greece is mountainous. Okay. We'll talk more about that as we go, but mountainous and islands. Okay. And they're kind of laid out weird. Like partially in like modern day Turkey, they're over here. Seems weird. And then they're like all in this area. Okie dokie. So good old Greece. Okay. Back here. I can't. Okay, there we go. We're going to start with the Minoans. And again, you're going to definitely see overlap in these dates. Okay. So you have the Minoans, 3000 BC-ish to around 1000 BC. Again, they don't just suddenly all go away. Like they're still around. They are going to abandon the island of Crete, but we'll get there. But they kind of mix with the Mycenaeans. Okay, those of them that live. Are you curious? Something happens to the Minoans. Then we'll hit the Mycenaeans. And again, you see overlap in the dates. Look, around 1700 BC to around 1100. And then you see the Dorians. They're going to come in and like, I don't know, be the dominant force around 1100 to 700. And that's when we really have all of the mixing of these three groups to get to what is considered like ancient Greece. Okay. Ancient Greece around 700 BC to 480. And then we get into classical Greece. Do you remember last year in World when we talked about neoclassicalism with the Renaissance? This is the classical period. This is like all of those Renaissance dudes who are like just totally enamored with these Greek people. This is really like when they're just, I don't know, exploding with like intellect and ideas and art and just philosophy and all kinds of crazy stuff. And then you see Hellenistic Greece. This is like with Alexander the Great. You've probably all heard of him. Alexander the Great comes in and creates this giant empire that we refer to as Hellenistic Greece. But really, that's Alexander's, I don't know, empire. And then, of course, it lasts. It's not just Alexander's life, but it lasts. Okay. And then Rome comes in and, oops, takes them over. So if you need to pause this to get these dates, pause this bad boy. Let me move my big old head back. Let me move this back. Let me get everything set up again. And let's go. Okay. The religion of Greece. This is a dead religion today. Does that mean no one worships it? No, I'm sure Bob does somewhere. Remember Bob, you guys? Bob's back. I'm sure somebody does somewhere. But y'all, it's a dead religion. The majority of people in Greece will claim Christianity, if you ask. This is a dead religion. The type of religion? Polytheistic. You should know that word from last year. More than one God. And actually, like, the Greeks have whole massive amounts, like this huge pantheon of gods. Not even the main gods. Like, I know you've all heard of these guys. Poseidon, Hades, and Zeus. I know you've heard of them. These aren't even the original gods. There's like layers upon layers of gods. Like in my Greek history class in college, we easily spent, I really feel like it was probably like the whole first month. Maybe it wasn't that long, but it was a darn long time period that we just talked about each one of the gods. So there's a ton of gods. But that being said, the Greek religion is called mythology. What is a myth? What is a myth? You should know. We don't even call it like religion. We today call it a myth, a story. One of the questions that I had to answer one time on like a quiz that I had in my Greek class in college, do you believe? And it was an opinion question. You had to back it up with historical facts. Do you believe the Greeks actually worshipped these people as gods and goddesses? Or do we have it wrong? They weren't gods and goddesses. They were just stories. Like Harry Potter is a story. Like Star Wars is a story. That is an interesting idea to think about. I'm not saying that these are just stories and not their religion. But that was a little like, we had like page essays for quizzes in college. That was a little essay that I had to write. What do I think? And it's an interesting idea to think about. Because the gods and goddesses of Greek mythology are incredibly human in nature. In my head, if I'm going to worship some god or goddess, I want them to be like all knowing, like all encompassing, like they can do anything, everything, total power, total control. Yeah, not these gods. Um, they tend to play a role in people's lives, but they're not all knowing. They're not all powerful. And again, they're very human. They make mistakes. They get angry and do things suddenly and rashly, and then they have to like, oh, oops, I messed up. You know what I mean? They're just very human. The one that you're probably the most familiar with is good old Zeus over here. Make my head bigger. Zeus is like the god of the sky. He's also the king of the gods at this point. Now, this is already after like two other layers of gods have gone away, okay? But he actually really hates humans. What? Like he's their god. Like people worship him and he hates humans? What? It's kind of weird. He really only likes humans if they're female and if they can please him. Yeah, Zeus is kind of a player. Yeah, he really is. Hmm. I just think it's an interesting story. He's also the youngest of all three of these brothers, but he's in charge. It's because he was able to like get his brothers back. In the mythology, we're not going to talk about it. As of right now, when I'm recording this, at the end of May, I actually don't know if Miss Clark and I are going to use Greek mythology in your documents. So, if so, then you'll get all these stories in your documents as you like work through documents. I I think we will, but that's why I don't want to say too much on here because I want you to learn this stuff through your documents. But he saves them. So he becomes like, the king of the gods. Good old Poseidon here. Poseidon is the god of the sea, the ocean, the water, that kind of thing. And you all know Ariel. She's related to him. King Triton, yeah. Poseidon. I don't want to. I'm trying. I don't know what we're gonna do for your documents, so I don't want to tell you things. So I'm not going to. So if you don't have these things in your documents, come ask, and I'll tell you. But otherwise, I'm not gonna tell you a lot more. Okay. And then good old Hades. Okay, one thing I will say about Hades is this. He's always depicted as like evil. He's not. I think of Hades like the weird awkward kid, the weird one that doesn't really know how to jive with people. He's awkward. Like he doesn't want to hang out at the parties. Like Disney has you thinking that Hades is bad. There are some Greek stories. Ooh, I should tell you this too. Hold on. There are some Greek stories where Hades wants to take over Zeus, but that's not the norm. And this is what I was going to say. I need to be sure that I tell you this, y'all. There are so many different versions of all of these stories that you'll literally have one story 1 minute that says this about Hades and then another one that totally contradicts it. So yeah, again, I don't want to tell you too much because I don't know which stories we're going to put in your documents for you to read, but Hades is in charge of the underworld. Um, the underworld is where everybody goes. The idea of like a heaven or hell in Greek mythology, no, no, that's not a thing. Everybody's going to go to the same place. Now, there are like different, I don't know, think of it like layers, I guess. It's not really a layer, but just think of it that way, as like different layers, okay, of the underworld, where you can go, to like Tartarus. Oh, that's bad. You know what I mean? But there's like different layers or whatever, the fields of whatever. But everybody goes to the same place. Okay, so if everybody goes to the same place, just different, like, I don't know, levels, think of it just levels, then what incentive is there to be good? Is there an incentive to be good? I mean, I don't know. If I'm good and I go to the same place that somebody who, I don't know, parties and, I don't know, does things, then what incentive is it for me to be good? Because of that, the Greeks tend to be, or tended to be, what we call a fairly hedonistic people. Hedonistic, indulgent people. They tend to be do that which you enjoy, do that which makes you feel good, do that which, I don't know, indulgent. I want to, I don't know, eat a piece of cake, just eat the whole thing. I want to, I don't know, sleep with that person over there, just sleep with all of them. Indulgent. They're going to tend to enjoy their pleasures, if that makes sense. And a lot of that is because of the idea of, like where they go when they die. They're all going to the same place. Again, ish. I know you guys. Some of you already right now. You're already interrupting me, going, "Well, actually, I know there's levels, but just think of it like levels in the same place." Okay, I believe. Quickly, I'll throw out these gods and goddesses, and then wir sind fertig. We'll stop this first video. So you have Poseidon, Hades, and Zeus. Yeah, Zeus is married to goddess Hera, who's also a sister, but whatever. He also sleeps with everyone. So the number of Zeus's kids are like shocking. But here we have Ares, god of war. These are the ones that are going to matter, like for our historical story. This is why you need to know them. Ares, god of war. He will be the patron god for the city-state of Sparta. You've all heard of Sparta. And then you have Zeus's daughter, who he gives birth to out of his head. I love these stories. They're crazy. He has a headache. And so he like, boom, and then in the crack or out of the crack comes Athena. Can't you imagine, like, you have a headache and you just break your head open and then a human or a goddess comes out? Anyway, Athena. Athena is goddess of wisdom. Goddess of wisdom. She's also the goddess of like strategic warfare. So whereas Ares is the god of just like, boom, let's fight, right? What's her name? Athena is a little bit like strategy in warfare. That's what she's in charge of. She is going to be the patron goddess for the city state Athens. So you have Sparta, god, which is what we'll talk about soon, Sparta, and then you have the patron goddess of Athens. Okay, and then over here you have Aphrodite, goddess of love, beauty, sex. Okay, her story, there's like 3 different creation stories for Aphrodite. Like, I'm telling you, all these stories are different. Sorry, I just had like it's not a text, but a thingy pop up on my laptop. Anyway, but there's like several different creation stories for Aphrodite as well. Zeus wants her. Zeus wants anything that's female, but Zeus wants her. I mean, she is, the goddess of beauty, right? Yeah, Zeus can't have her. She's like, And Aphrodite is in love with Ares. So they have this like hot romance going on. Ares and Aphrodite, god of war, goddess of love, beauty, and sex. Zeus forces her to marry his like son, Hephaestus. He makes like the tools and stuff in the volcanoes, and anyway, but they still just have this relationship. So again, as we go on, like in our historical story, these 3 right here are going to matter: goddess of love, beauty, and sex. Athena, goddess of wisdom, and she's the patron goddess of Athens. And then you have Ares, god of war, and he's the patron god to Sparta. And that is where we are stopping for today. Auf Wiedersehen. Bye.